So we're of course done with the KC Cup and Duel Links, and that means Worlds is fast approaching, meaning we've got a BANLIST Duel prediction video for potentially coming out tomorrow, or the end of the week, or beginning next week. And this should be a bit of a big one, right? This should be the one where Orcust does decidedly get hit. They've got to deal with Orcust in a meaningful way, because Worlds is coming up, it's our last BANLIST before Worlds, and ranked right now is not very fun. Looking at the KC Cup, right, what did well? Well, Orcust did, Odd Eyes did, and Switcheroo did, which is pretty cool. Now, do I think they'll hit Switcheroo at all? No. It's too new, and I think that if they were to hit something, it'd be an older card, right? And so what do you hit? Do you hit double yo-yo for some reason? I don't think you kind of gut the sales potential of this deck by going at it so quickly. It's a good thing that a new deck can compete with Orcust and Odd Eyes. It's a good thing. Keep it that way. This is a fun deck. So don't do anything, Konami. Please. Let's just go to Orcust Rad, because the big thing is gutting Mermaid. This thing should be banned. Just straight up banned. Making this engine so splashable into so many decks is kind of a good thing, right? It makes other decks, better, but also it's so boring on ladder that I think myself and so many people have just said, like, you know what? I'm not bothering with Duel Links anymore for a while, because it's so boring when like 80% of your matchups are just Orcust. Is that going to fix everything wrong with the ranked right now, with Orcust? No. And it won't fix Odd Eyes Orcust in particular, because they can still play the Babel version, they can go into Galatea, their skill means they've got so much consistency they don't even need to kind of worry about that. So I think they're going to go one step further. Now, if we look back at what Mech Knights got, first of all, they got a Limit 3 on Blue Sky and on Memory. If we were to assume the same, could we see a Limit 3 on, say, the Return and the Nightmare? Or the Harp Horror? One of those three, like two of those three, in Limit 3, I think could work. In terms of getting rid of the generic back row, getting rid of the Ibly. The problem is that Scrap Recycler still exists. Should one-card starters exist in Duel Links? I would say no when they're this generic, right? The Speed Road 1 via the skill does make sense. Getting rid of Mermaid does hit the other starters, right? The Tether Wolf, the Sky Blaster, they require summoning a token that then goes into your Nightmare, into your Mermaid, into Galatea. Whereas Scrap Recycler is just dump this, go into this, right? It just goes direct to it. And so I think they might go for Scrap Recycler instead. Give them the Babel. Let them do the quick effects in their turn, right? Let them do all that. Being the first hit, they could also do way less, right? We'll have to see. Then we've got Odd Eyes. Now, again, Odd Eyes abusing Orcust. If they just hit the Nightmare Mermaid, nothing changes. And it doesn't change because they need to hit the skill. And this, I think, won't happen this time round. It's too new. But how this skill doesn't have any restrictions on it, when the Shanky Shang one does, is baffling. Given the value it generates, it means you could play your Orcust package and not see any downside to it. Oh, it's so baffling. The way you do it is you make it so you can't play any cards in your extra deck except for Perform Powers or rank 4 or 7 dragons. And it would mean that you would gut things like the Dweller and the Roach. But I think that compromise is fine, because they want you to play Raging Dragon, right? And if Raging Dragon is the goal of this skill, make it that, right? Don't give you 4 cards worth of value for free to then just go and make other Xyzes, right? Yes, you can still make your Onigis, but you can't also make your Dweller as well. You gotta do something else. That's what I think they should do, but will they do that? Probably not. I think, like, if they want to hit a card, right, then maybe you hit Pentacle, but it's in the structure, so will they do that? I really don't know. It's a real tough one to kind of predict Odd Eyes if they will do anything. I don't think they will, but they probably want this at Worlds, right? They want Odd Eyes at Worlds, but they probably don't want Odd Eyes Orcust at Worlds. Then we've got Rocket. And Rocket's an interesting one because it is like the anti-meta deck of the meta. Because you're Silver Rocket, right? Going first, you can snipe out their Raging Dragon, their Dark Rebellion, their Orcust stuff, and in general, that can sometimes be an auto win. And so I think they might look at it and go, you know what Rocket needs? Rocket needs a Limit 3. And do they? No, because a lot of decks aren't really playing your Limit 3s, right? 1 of them 35, 2 of them 26, 2 of them 30%. It's really low for Rockets because their main focus is go for the quick play OTK stuff, right? Go for the quick launch and the rapid trigger and the cosmics. And so maybe you just put Trace to 3, just to kind of say, you know what? We're going to do something. It won't really matter that much, but it's something. on a map gets hit because of Orcust. Sulfur Cord, I don't think needs to be hit. I think they're just kind of fine vibing by themselves. Maybe again they do a limit 3 kind of removal if they want to kind of push more main box decks, right, coming soon, or the mini box selection mini box, and if we get that, I guess, but I don't think this needs to be hit. Now, what else could kind of come off the list, because there's so many things on here that could come off, and I think one of them is Petting Cessor. Put it to 2, make it trade places with something like your Kiteroids or your, I don't know what else, really, but I think more than one of this is kind of fine in the moment. Similarly, Bomber Dragon. This is one of the worst bundle cards we've gotten. You know, in hindsight, people thought it would be really good. It saw some playing Code Talkers. If you put this to 3, you know, alongside the back row, in case Konami think that maybe it does get abused, then this is kind of a good middle ground, right? It's better than no one using it at all, which currently is what it feels like is happening. Similarly, is putting your Karakuri to 2, because they've been doing a thing in the past where the last couple of ban lists has been, you know what, we'll give more Karakuri, give more 6 Samurai, and this one is just next up on the list. It's almost time, right, to give us this finally back to 2. I think that's a pretty safe bet to happen. And also, you know what's happening, Magician's Rod going to Unlimited. I think that Rod going to Unlimited only happens if there's no DM support coming in the new main box. That might get some support because it's Grandpa themed, right? It might be loosely DM anime themed, and so we might get more support in that. Or it'd be Blue Eye support, you know, it could just be that as well. It helps Star Magician without the skill, and I think having 2 variants of DM around and playable is a good thing. I don't think it'll happen, but if it does, I'll take it. But I'm not going to sit here and go, oh my god, I'm going to be so upset if it doesn't happen. But just, I hope it does. And also, I kind of chaotically true need to come back at limit 1. We're having so many ways to negate cards as well now, that at some point, maybe not this list, maybe not the next one, but at some point, this might come back to 1. And if it does, Duel Links will be very interesting. Duel Links will be very, very interesting indeed. So those are my card hits and unhits, right? And feel free to clown on me down below. But now we go on to the skills. And of course, we talked about already, the Raging Pendulum, right? This skill just does need a restriction on it. But also 2 skills Orcust do abuse is Sealed Tombs and Switcheroo. And these need to be changed to, I don't know, 1800 life points or 2000, I guess, could be a thing as well. Either way, you've got to use 2 Cosmics to kind of get their value out turn 1. It's been a long time coming, right, for Ishizu, right, for Sealed Tombs. Switcheroo has kind of been up and down, right, in terms of its playability, but Sealed Tombs has been very good. It would also be funny if Konami just went, you know what, no Orcust hits, but we're hitting Sealed Tombs. And then they just hit the mirror match and make Orcust even better. They could do that. They could do that, and it'd be insane. I think Reddit would freak out, and it would be a very dark time for Duel Links, but I would be shocked if this wasn't hit. You know, it's been a long time coming. Similarly, is a Bond Illuminates the Future. Now, this skill, regardless of the hits it just got, right, you know, of course, it had so many cards hit because of it. The Crocodile Soul Synchro, the Tatsuneko Synchro, like the Junk Synchron as well, right, the tuning, all got hit because of this skill. I don't think that should have been the case. I think this skill, when you just read it, is just bonkers, right? Being able to trade in 1 dragon for 3? Yes, you can book a moon those dragons, right? You've got that interaction. That's cool. I feel like that they could have done a bit better in balancing the skill. And finally, Hero Alliance. Now, you might think heroes aren't doing anything in the meta, and you would be right. They're not overly great as a meta deck right now, but in ranked, they're so prevalent. And this skill, being an unrespondable search for Super Poly, that's an unrespondable from activation, is kind of crazy. And there's no downside to either, right? You just summon your Neos, there's no discard a card or banish a card, there's nothing like that. There used to be, I believe, but now there's not. And so at minimum, bring that back. Or, otherwise, make this not happen on turn 1. Because nothing feels worse than you pending out your Odd Eyes board, right? You summon a bunch of Darks, and then, oh boy, they play a Super Poly on turn 1 because they searched it via the skill. If you hard open it, sure, fair game, you know, you sacked me, fair enough. But being able to search this, unrespondable, and then being able to play this, unrespondable, is a bit crazy. Or, you can make it so that Neos needs to be face up, right? Because you can disrupt the Neos, book a moon it, for example, but the skill is still live because you summon Neos this turn. It's one of those skills that does like cheese me a lot when I'm playing. It's not a meta-relevant skill, but it's one on ranked. It's like this teeny bit unfun to play against. That is my BANLIST predictions. I just really want to see Orcust pegged down quite a bit. You know, this needs to be banned, some limit 3s. But again, it's their first hit, so they could be kind of light on them. There could be things I was missing. They could buff Phantom Knights again. They could, I don't know, hit Dark Magician because it's still in the top 50 decks, even though it's not overly great. Like, they could do that as well. I kind of think we might be getting Blue Eye support in the new main box coming, so maybe they'll do something there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Sorry for the rambliness. It's very hot right now in the UK. I'm sweating, so kind of want to get this over and done with. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next Duel Links video. Hopefully BANLIST reaction tomorrow, if not later in the week or early next week. See you then.